Scuttling along the dry and thirsty riverbed, a lone scorpion hurries desperately looking for shade. Suddenly it stops and raises its pinches and tail in an aggressive manner as it spots a small worm-like creature wriggling itself into a hole in the ground. Cautiously making its way towards the worm, the scorpion opens its razor-like pinchers, ready to strike at its potential meal. The scorpion stops again and leaps at the worm with the speed of a dart. Whoosh! It disappeared. The worm escaped down the hole. Then, as if in a panic, the scorpion raises its tail and pinches in an aggressive way again. It turns around anxiously, and all of a sudden the ground beneath the scorpion explodes, flicking it in the air. The scorpion lands on its back, then quickly wriggles itself to its feet. It turns where it was stood to see a much larger hole. The worm then reappears from this hole and begins to writhe as if in pain on the surface. The scorpion, hungry, angry, but bemused by the whole experience, cautiously makes its way towards the defenceless worm, pauses before making the deadly attack, then whoosh! The scorpion has leapt at the worm, but itself is now hissing and shrieking in pain as 5 more worm-like creatures appear to spring up from the hole and have a hold of the scorpion with minute teeth like needles. A shadow is cast over the struggling creatures, and the scorpion gets mercilessly pulled down the hole. This shadow was also created by a group of predators out on the hunt. These predators, though, were a group of men making their way home after an unsuccessful night's hunting. Tired and hungry, the party stopped to have a drink. One of the men pulls out a pair of binoculars and stands on top of the dried-up riverbank. He puts them to his eyes and scans the horizon. His gaze fixed on what looks like a desert fort with a strange symbol made of metal above the entrance. But to the men, it's no hostile fort. It's their home. It's their commune. Staring at the commune, the man with binoculars speaks with a worried voice to his companions. "Damn!" "What's wrong, Stephen?" replies a tall, dark-skinned man who then passes water to somebody else. Stephen pulls his binoculars down to his chest and looks at the ground in disappointment. They are waiting again. Hoto must have told him we didn't catch anything again, says a long-haired and muscular man. He stands up from the ground and brushes the dust and sand off of himself, then takes the binoculars off of Stephen. "Well, we best get home. No point keeping them waiting even if we didn't catch anything." The men pick themselves up and climb the embankment and set off to the commune. Daniel catches up with Stephen and quietly asks him, "Did you see Paulison at the gates?" Stephen frowns towards the ground, then looks at Daniel into the eyes. "Yes, I'm afraid so." "Shoot!" Daniel looks ahead in disappointment. "I can't stand her being down, but when she sees we haven't caught anything... Damn it!" "Well, it's best you put on a brave face, my friend, as your wife is not the only one waiting for you." "Huh? Oh no, Michael?" "I'm afraid so. But he should be at school." Stephen looks at Daniel and shrugs his shoulders. Meanwhile, at the commune gates, a woman kneels down to speak to her infant son. "I'm sorry, Michael, but it doesn't look like your father is going to be back for a while." "But Mum, he's coming, I can feel him near." "No, I'm sorry, Michael, you're already late for school, and there is no sign of your father anywhere." She stands up and frowns and looks at the horizon. Michael then looks up to his mother and says in textbook form, "If the vision of your eyes doesn't help your mind, use the eye in your mind to help your vision," and points to his forehead. His mother laughs and kneels down to kiss him. "Ah, so you do listen to what Hoto teaches you," she says. She grabs hold of him and begins to tickle him. He struggles and laughs. "Go on, off to school, you cheeky little chipmunk," and with that he cheekily runs off, shouting back to his mother, "I'm not a chipmunk, I'm a human, silly, ha ha!" It's mid-morning in the commune, and one of the busiest times of day. It is hot and sunny, and that is not unusual, as it hardly rains in these parts anymore. The commune people do most of their work and activities in early morning and early evening, as it is far too hot during the hours of midday. The people normally sleep during the midday, and whoever and whatever gets caught in the mid-afternoon sun without any shade or water will feel its intense and blistering heat burn into their skin. This is on everyone's mind as the sun climbs across the sky. Michael bursts into the front door and stands in the doorway catching his breath and looking around. A classroom attendant in robes is stood at the back of the classroom and leers at Michael. Michael gives a nervous smile to the man and quietly closes the door behind him. He turns around and looks for a space to sit down, smiling as the other children make eye contact with him as they sit cross-legged on the floor. Then, at the back of the classroom, an older girl beckons him and makes a space next to her. His nervousness goes away and he makes his way towards her. He sits down between her and a smaller, younger girl. The girl who beckoned him is Tara, and the younger girl to Michael's left is Sam, his closest friends. He looks at Tara out the corner of his eye and smiles. She pokes him in the leg and smirks. He pinches her and tries not to laugh. The classroom attendant behind him tells him to be quiet. "You two, shush." The children then look to the front of the room to see a hooded figure covered in a white cloak sat on a small stool. Serenity settles in the classroom, and the figure begins to raise its hood. Michael's face is in awe as the figure's face emerges. First the chin, slightly pointed and fairly thin, then a small and thin-lipped slit-like mouth, which looked like it could hardly open. The hood continued to creep back slowly, revealing in proportion to the face a small baby-like nose with two pinhole-like nostrils, and then the most beautiful but strangest part of this person's face, his eyes, so big, so wide, it made his face seem like it was stretched sideways. It seemed like half his face was covered by these giant pearl-like eyes. They got narrow at either side and were slightly slanted, and as the hood was completely removed, his peculiar forehead was visible. This person, although bizarre and not human in appearance, was still beautiful in his own kind of way, and he was more than just not human in appearance, he was not human at all. He was an extraterrestrial being adopted by these people as priest and teacher, an extraterrestrial who went by the name of Hoto.